And now we about to watch react to this. Bro, I've always said this, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, but I've always thought of this. I wouldn't say always because I don't know y'all like most of y'all like that, but I will say this: Doc Rivers, right? As a coach, he is very overrated as a coach. Like he doesn't make adjustments and all that. And yeah, I felt like that 2000. He might be the first. I think if this was any other coach, if they had a title, they wouldn't last as long as he would. But just saying, I think with unless they get two titles, maybe. But if they don't get a title like he did, yeah, and he's had better
I've
teams
seen
than a
the
lot of
trend
people.
now. I've seen the trend for years.
What's the trend?
The trend is always making excuses. Doc, we get it. Taking over a team in the middle of the season is hard. It's hard. We get it. Just like getting traded in the middle of the season is hard for a player. We get it. But it's always an excuse. It's always throwing your team under the bus. They lose to Memphis. Oh, it's his players' fault. Memphis was playing G League guys and two-way guys.
Oh, damn, I remember this.
We had a coach in the NBA that might have been the most stubborn coach that I think I've ever seen in my entire life. In 2023, after finally trading Russ, the Lakers surprisingly made the conference finals, and they did so with a pretty consistent rotation of players.
Yes.
Now, even with the proven recipe that literally just worked a few months prior, this head coach was obsessed with a new addition to the team named Taurean Prince. And if you want to know
Yeah, I remember.
how obsessed, listen to this. These are the Lakers players last year that actually played the most minutes, and these are their plus minuses. Taurean Prince, no
What?
disrespect, but he quite literally had the worst plus minus on the team, and consistently he played heavy starting
How
minutes.
the hell did Russell
This
have that
was
high of a
oddly
plus minus?
The
That's it.
egotistical, stubborn decision of Darvin Ham, and for that, he's back being the assistant for the Milwaukee Bucks. And yes, Taurean Prince is still right with him. Darvin Ham is under, in my opinion, the most overrated coach in NBA history, Doc Rivers.
Thank you.
And no, I'm not even saying overrated where you think he's good. I think the majority of the NBA space realizes the glaring flaws in a Doc Rivers-led team. I'm more so talking about the people that actually matters. They somehow still think Doc Rivers is great. 2 years ago, Doc Rivers was named a top 15 coach of all time.
Oh yeah, I saw this. I was like,
Top 15
what?
coach of all time. Look at this picture really quickly. If you look at all of these coaches' names, all 15 of these quote-unquote legendary coaches' names, certain coaches have stars by their names. These stars indicate that these coaches are active. Every coach on this list that's active has multiple championships under their belts. Every single one except Doc Rivers. More impressively to me, every active coach on this list, they won an NBA championship or went to a finals with a different version of their team. Everybody except Doc Rivers. Coach Pop won a championship with Tim Duncan and David Robinson playing more of an inside-out game in the 90s. It was no Tony Parker. It was no Manu. It was no Kawhi. And then he won a championship in 2014, completely spacing the floor. Eric Spoelstra won 2 NBA championships with the Big Three, obviously.
Excuse me.
And then more impressively, he got back to the finals with 2 teams that had significantly less talent to me than the opposition. That was pure coaching, and it completely destroyed the he needed LeBron and the Big Three narrative. Steve Kerr, love him or hate him, he won an NBA championship with the young, unproven Warriors, the Kevin Durant juggernaut Warriors, and the Warriors that had the blend of young and old talent. My point is, these coaches earned their spot on that list, and they had multiple different tests throughout their careers. Everybody except Doc Rivers. What about the dude that actually has the slimmest resume of them all, despite arguably coaching the most talent? Think about it like this, and I say this all the time. These are all the players that Doc Rivers has coached throughout his career, and he has one sole championship to show for it.
Yeah.
I can't even think of a coach that's actually done less with more. I just can't.
Yeah, me too. I'm not
Last
gonna
year,
lie.
the Milwaukee Bucks hired first-time head coach Adrian Griffin, and looking back on it with 2020 hindsight now, this man really got a tough deal. When he got the job, Dame wasn't even there. Dame showed up around training camp. Terry Stotts, Dame's old coach, he got hired and then left right before the season even started. That was a pretty significant blow. The Milwaukee Bucks, despite how it might have looked, despite how the defense looked, whatever, they were 30-13 when Adrian Griffin got fired. Actually think about how insane that was. That's a 70% winning percentage.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't know why.
Coach. And at that time, that was only second to Boston. A man actually lost his job after doing what was actually expected. To be honest, it really made no sense.
I've never understood it at all.
The defense was pretty mid, but the personnel obviously changed. They lost Drew Holiday and brought in Dame. Jrue Holiday was just voted the best defensive player in the league by his peers the year prior. So what happened was actually to be expected. If you look at the offense with Griffin, they were second in the league only to Indiana. They did exactly what we expected. Take a leap offensively and take a big step back defensively. And the man got fired for it.
Jump in like this to get this team where it needs to go.
Listen, I've never done this. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. I can tell you that just from the day and a half. I should have waited until after All-Star break. You know, this was a tough stretch.
And then they brought in Doc Rivers. And I get they said he was helping Adrian Griffin, mentoring him, whatever. But my question is, why? With his very lackluster, choking resume, why does he keep?
I know he had like some allegations to Adrian Griffin like that, but still,
why?
Like
now,
it was weird.
I'm not even saying Doc Rivers is a bad coach. I'm not even saying that. He typically gives his team a pretty solid floor. Doc Rivers teams are typically not bad. They just simply underachieve. But this year is a little bit different. This Milwaukee Bucks tenure seems a little bit different. Right now, the Milwaukee Bucks, they have the worst record in the entire Eastern Conference. That team is 1-6 for the first time
I feel
since
bad for
2000.
Giannis, I ain't gonna lie.
This is the worst start of Giannis' career. Dame has been on pretty bad teams. This is the worst start to his career.
What?
Since Doc even got the job. The Milwaukee Bucks are somehow 6 games below 500. When Adrian Griffin was the head coach, it was always that question as to how can Dame and Giannis play better together. They're the two best players, so they have to feed off each other well so everyone else can eat seamlessly. Doc Rivers is the player's coach, so he was kind of brought there because he's coached a lot of stars together. He's supposed to fix that, right? Well, get this. When Adrian Griffin was the head coach, that duo was 29-9 together. With Doc Rivers, they're 15-12. How the hell did that even happen? Like, how did they get worse?
Taking a job when you're about to go on the toughest road trip of the season is not the smartest decision. My Orlando team was the 8th seed. The Clipper team that we lost 3-1. Chris Paul didn't play in the first 2 games and was playing on one leg. And then the last one, to me, is the one we blew. That's the one I said, we blew that. And that was in the bubble. And anything could happen in the bubble. There's no home court. Game 7 would have been in LA.
Doc Rivers.
What?
And I say
That's
this
such a horrible excuse. I've never understood the bubble gimmick.
Chris Paul. He's a coach that blew this lead in a playoff game. Doc Rivers, after being up 3-1 with a chance to make their first Western Conference Finals appearance ever, also blew this lead. Doc Rivers, with a completely different version of the Clippers team, being up 3-1 again. He blew this lead in Game 5, this lead in Game 6, and then this lead in Game 7.
This was a classic.
It's ridiculous. The following season,
one of the greatest hate watches.
Team and an MVP candidate on his team. Doc Rivers blew this lead against Trae Young's Atlanta team with a chance to go 3-2
Knicks fans, Boston fans were happy.
Doc Rivers also had a closeout
Even
Game
Bucks
6
fan,
on his home court, and he simply couldn't get it done. Top 15 where? If you really want to see exactly how epic those collapses really were, these are the recent fourth quarters in those series in which he choked those leads. Look at how bad they
6%?
Yes,
it's
we can
crazy.
blame Joel Embiid. Yes, we can blame James Harden. We can blame Kawhi, Paul George, Chris Paul, whoever. But at some point, the top 15 head coach has to have a better plan. The Milwaukee Bucks actually pulled this man down from calling games on ESPN just to significantly get worse. Mike Budenholzer, the coach they actually fired after being the first seed and just losing his star in the first round. How exactly is he doing now? Doc Rivers is the most fortunate head coach I've ever seen. And he has one sole championship to show for it. It's insane. If you guys like this video, let me know in the comment section what you guys feel about this topic. Somebody in my last video commented and said, bro, Doc Rivers, how does he keep getting passes? And bro.
Yeah, I've always wondered that too. Like, how does he do this? Like, I'm not going to say he's a horrible coach because he's always done, most of his teams have been to the playoffs. But however, like he said in the video, I feel like they've underachieved, which is weird because, and also, for some reason, I don't know why, but he just blows leads. Like, I've never seen a coach blow as many leads as he does. At least, if you've done it the first time, I understand one time, right? But if you're doing it more than at least 2 or 3 times, that should be a huge no-no, especially for any organization. But